Quickly picks up Howard behind him, and then out wide at Kelly. How quick will he be? He's stretching away now. Isn't he beautiful to watch? He did switch off. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy!
At just 17 years old, Gout Gout has done what few ever imagined. He's shattered records, stunned international athletes, and injected new life into Australian sprinting. But beyond the headlines and the split-second finishes lies a story that's only just beginning. Because Gout isn't just fast, he might be the future of global track. Let's rewind to a warm evening in Perth. Gout Gout, then a relatively unknown teenager, stepped onto the track for the Australian U20 National Championships. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. In one day, he clocked not one, but two wind-assisted 9.99-second runs in the 100 meters. Though ineligible for records due to tailwinds, the message was clear. A new sprinting star had arrived. Gout didn't stop there. That same weekend, he demolished a piece of Australian athletic history, Peter Norman's 5-6-year-old 200 meters national record. His time? A blistering 20.04 seconds. Just months later, he would better that mark again with a 20.02-second finish in Ostrava, Czech Republic, making it official. Gout Gout had run the fastest 200 meters in Oceanian history. This wasn't just another fast time. It was the fastest ever by an Australian and the second fastest 200 meters by any under 1:8 sprinter in history, just behind Usain Bolt's world best. That record-breaking run in Ostrava wasn't against local talent either. He beat established international names like Cuba's Rainier Mena and Olympic medalist Nathaniel Mitchell-Blake from the UK. And through it all, Gout remained composed. After the race, he told reporters, "I feel good. New personal best, new national record in my first European race. I don't feel any pressure." There was no arrogance, just a calm, self-assured teenager with a growing list of accomplishments. Gout's rise is even more remarkable when you look at where he came from. Born in December 2007 Inches, Ipswich, Queensland, he's one of 7 children in a family that fled war-torn South Sudan. His parents, Dinka refugees, endured a difficult journey through Egypt before settling in Australia. His name, Gout, was a clerical error during the immigration process, a mistake that would soon become a symbol of triumph. Originally drawn to soccer, Gout made the switch to track in his early teens. By 14, he was rewriting national records. At 15, he was already running 20.87 seconds in the 200 meters and earning a silver medal at the World U20 Championships in Lima. And by 16, he had signed a professional contract with Adidas. While many teens his age were worrying about exams and social media, Gout was racing grown men and breaking continental records. In April 2025, at the Australian National Championships, he clocked an incredible 19.84 inches, the 200 meters, though the wind reading made it unofficial. But Gout wasn't discouraged. He smiled and said, "It's definitely frustrating. I run fast times, but the wind is not on my side. Hopefully one day the wind will be great." Weeks later, his wish came true. With legal wind conditions, he ran a 20.02 inches Europe, an official record that confirmed everything fans had hoped for. To truly grasp how monumental this is, let's put things in context. By age 17, even Usain Bolt hadn't run that fast. Gout's performances are not only national headlines, they're global signals that a new contender is rising. When the 2025 World Athletics Championships arrived in Tokyo, Gout was the youngest man ever selected for Australia's senior sprint team. All eyes were on him as he stepped into the blocks against legends like Letsail Tebogo and Brian Level. In the semi-final, he moved from 7th to finish 4th with a 20.36. It wasn't enough for the final, but it was a world-class debut. His response? Classy as ever. "Obviously, I was aiming for that sub-20, but today wasn't the day. God didn't allow it today, but I know for sure in the future it's going to come." That maturity, patience, mixed with burning ambition is what truly sets Gout apart. His mental game is just as strong as his physical talent. Even with international pressure, media attention, and major sponsorships, he remains grounded. He's currently finishing school and even considering a future in psychology. Coaches say he's calm, analytical, and deeply focused. It's a rare mix in a sport where hype can derail even the most promising careers, and that's what makes him different. He's not just here for the moment, he's built for the long haul. Of course, comparisons to Usain Bolt are inevitable. Both were teenage prodigies. Both possess smooth, long strides and seem to glide across the track. But Gout's not trying to be the next Bolt. As many are starting to say, he might just be the first Gout Gout. Australia hasn't had a sprinter on this level since Peter Norman's iconic 1,968 silver medal performance. For decades, the nation's athletic pride lay in swimming and distance running. But gout has reignited an entire sprint culture. Track commentator Bruce McAvaney called it a renaissance. And it's not just the numbers. Gout's story connects with people on a human level, a refugee family, a young boy discovering his talent, a teenager standing on the world stage, not just representing Australia, but redefining it. After the World Championships, Gout took a short break to focus on his final high school exams. Yes, even after sprinting past world-class athletes, he's still just a student, balancing chemistry tests with championship races. That humility and focus suggests something even greater ahead. He's not letting the spotlight change who he is. For now, the goals are clear: break 20 seconds legally, represent Australia at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, and maybe, just maybe, become the fastest man alive. Because let's be honest, at this pace, anything is possible. Gout Gout is now the youngest athlete ever to hold the Oceanian 200 meters record. He's already outrun Usain Bolt's under 1:06 marks, and he's within striking distance of Bolt's under 2:0 records. He's got the Adidas deal, the records, the fans, but more importantly, he's got the drive. One more thing to consider: Gout has yet to fully tap into his potential. He's still refining his start, which he openly admits isn't where he wants it to be. "I didn't get the start I anticipated," he said after one of his standout races. And yet, even with less than perfect launches, he's dominating fields and setting records. Once he perfects those early meters, the rest of the world might be playing catch-up. He also holds multiple age group titles and has already competed at both junior and senior international levels before turning 18, something almost unheard of in the track world. And while most teenagers are easing into elite competition, Gout has already proven he belongs in the conversation with the best sprinters alive. More importantly, his recent qualification for the 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo has thrust him into the global spotlight. Gout is now preparing to compete head-to-head with sprinting giants like Noah Lyles and Letsail Tebogo. It's a chance not only to test himself against the world's best, but to possibly become the first Australian ever to break the 20-second barrier in an official 200 meters competition. So, is he the next Bolt? Maybe. Or maybe he's something even rarer, a once-in-a-generation talent with a once-in-a-generation story. Because when Gout Gout steps onto the track, he's not just running a race, he's rewriting history.
And Nader coming wide for Portugal! Nader for Portugal! From right on the line! And the younger chariot takes the bronze! What a run!
Everyone thought they knew how the 1,500 meters at the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo would end. The experts had already picked their winner. But when the race was over, the spotlight wasn't on the favorites. It was on one man, Isaac Nader. From the start, no one saw him coming. Ranked 8th in the world and sitting at 5-0-1 odds, Nader was the last person anyone expected to win gold. He had never even made the podium at a major championship before, but what he did in the final 100 meters of that race wasn't just a victory, it was a message. This underrated Portuguese sprinter had just flipped the entire script of the men's 1,500 meters. The build-up to this race was already unusual. With memories of the previous year's Olympic finals still fresh, fans had been anticipating a high-stakes rematch between the sport's biggest names. But one by one, those stars fell. Yared Nuguse didn't even qualify for Worlds, finishing 5th at the U.S. Championships. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, still nursing an Achilles injury, couldn't make it out of the first round. Cole Hawker, the reigning Olympic champ, was shockingly disqualified in the semifinals after a controversial clash with Germany's Robert Farken. That left Josh Kerr as the last man standing among the old guard. The reigning world champion and Britain's golden hope, Kerr was expected to hold the fort. But with 600 meters to go in the final, disaster struck. His calf seized up, leaving him limping down the track and finishing in last place. In a race that had already defied logic, Kerr's sudden collapse removed the last familiar face from the podium conversation. At this point, the crown seemed destined for the 20-year-old phenom, Niels Laros. The Dutch prodigy had blitzed the Diamond League all season and lined up as the heavy favorite. As the final lap began, Laros was perfectly positioned on the shoulder of Kenya's Timothy Cheruiyot, a seasoned veteran and former world champion. But even the best laid plans can unravel in the chaos of a 1,500. With just 200 meters to go, it was Jake Whiteman, the 2022 world champion, who made a move that had all the makings of a comeback fairy tale. After 3 grueling years of injuries, Whiteman found himself out front again in a major final, just as he had been in Eugene. His arms were pumping, his stride looked strong, and his father, Jeff Whiteman, was once again calling the race over the PA system, just as he had during his son's 2022 victory. But what no one saw coming was what was happening behind him. Isaac Nader, running in 5th with just 100 meters left, had been hiding in plain sight. His positioning was quiet but calculated. And in those final moments, he unleashed one of the most blistering finishes ever seen on a championship stage, closing his last 100 meters in a staggering 12.28 seconds. His final 200, a fiery 25.32, and the last lap, an elite 51.2 seconds. Whiteman saw it coming too late. As he drove for the line, Nader surged past him, barely dipping across the finish 0.02 seconds ahead. Just like that, Portugal had its first ever world title in the men's 1500 meters. The time, 3:34.10. It wasn't just a win, it was a reshuffling of the global hierarchy. Whiteman, heartbroken yet gracious, accepted silver with a time of 3:34.12. Kenya's Reynold Cheruiyot, just 21 years old, took bronze in 3:34.25, his first global medal. Laros, the favorite, faded hard and finished a disappointing 5th. Timothy Cheruiyot, once the man to beat, had nothing left in the closing stages. It was one of the closest 1,500-meter finishes in history, closer than most 100-meter finals. The Tokyo crowd could barely believe what they had seen. One of the sport's most unpredictable events had somehow managed to become even more chaotic. For Nader, the moment was beyond anything he had experienced before. "I am emotionally tired but very happy," he said post-race. "I am speechless. Today I am a world champion, and there is only one bigger title, the Olympic gold." Until this race, Nader had been known mostly on the European circuit. He was the 2021 Portuguese indoor champion in both the 1500 and 3000 meters. In 2023, he took silver at the European Games, and in early 2025, he had picked up a bronze at the European Indoor Championships. But he had never stood atop the podium at a global level. That all changed in Tokyo, and it wasn't just about one good race. Nader has been quietly building toward this moment all season. In June 2025, he ran a blistering 3:29.37 inches Ostrava, making him one of the fastest men in the world that year. Just days earlier, he'd clocked 1:43.86 inches the 800 meters in Guadalajara. His fitness was peaking, but few outside his camp noticed. Born in Faro, Portugal, to a Moroccan father and Portuguese mother, Nader's roots in sport run deep. He's the nephew of Hassan Nader, a Moroccan international footballer. At the club level, he represents SL Benfica, one of Portugal's most storied institutions. But no club or family legacy could have predicted what he pulled off on that humid night in Tokyo. The men's 1,500 meters has long been one of the most wide-open events in track and field. And in recent years, that unpredictability has only intensified. Nader's win makes him the 6th different man to take the world title in the last decade, and the 9th different global champion in the same period. There is no dominant force in this event, no guaranteed winner. Every year brings a new contender, a new surprise, and now, a new star. So what does this mean for the future of the event? For starters, the hierarchy is wide open. The 2025 World Championships proved once again that experience, hype, and even season-best times don't guarantee anything. Niels Laros will be back, so will Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Cole Hawker, and Josh Kerr. But now they'll have to contend with Nader, a man who's not only fast but fearless, a closer with ice in his veins. And then there's Jake Whiteman. His comeback story was nearly complete, and his silver is a reminder that even in defeat, he remains one of the most dangerous names in the field. If not for Nader's superhuman kick, Whiteman might have made history as the first man ever to reclaim the 1,500 meters world title. In a race full of stars, it was the unheralded underdog who had the final word. And that's what makes this event so magnetic. No matter how much data you crunch or footage you study, the 1,500 meters always leaves room for the unexpected. Isaac Nader wasn't supposed to win. He wasn't even supposed to be in the conversation. But in just under 3.5 minutes, he didn't just change the outcome of one race, he changed the narrative of the entire event. Now the world knows his name. And next season, no one will underestimate him again. What makes this victory even more meaningful is how Nader handled the pressure on the biggest stage. He didn't just survive the chaos, he thrived in it. That calm, that patience, and that explosive finish prove he's not just a one-hit wonder. He's a threat to every podium going forward, and he's here to stay.
Finland and Doualla is up. Also running well, Pagliarini. Oh, but Doualla, she's in a class of her own.
At just 15 years old, Kelly Doualla isn't just beating her peers, she's obliterating records set by grown women. European champions are watching their titles fall to a teenager who hasn't even finished high school. So who is this sprinting phenomenon, and how is she running times that Italy has never seen before? She was born in Pavia, Italy, in November 2009, just months after Usain Bolt set the world on fire with his 9.58-second 100 meters world record. Raised in Sant'Angelo Lodigiano by Cameroonian parents, Kellyanne Mayvani Doualla Edimo was drawn to athletics only after dabbling in swimming, tennis, and football. But once she stepped onto the track, her path became clear. With a relentless drive and natural talent, she quickly climbed the national ranks. Today, she's not just Italy's most promising young athlete, she's a record-breaking sprinter reshaping the future of European track and field. Kelly didn't grow up planning to dominate sprinting. In fact, she first tried swimming, then moved on to tennis, then football. But none of those clicked quite like athletics. She finally found her stride at age 10, and from the moment she stepped onto a track, something clicked. Her speed was undeniable, even at such a young age. By 2021, before even turning 12, she had already run 7.94 seconds in the outdoor 60 meters. To put that into perspective, that's just days before Marcel Jacobs famously broke Italy's 10-second barrier in the 100 meters. Kelly was already on her own path, and it wasn't long before she turned that promise into jaw-dropping performances. Kelly's rise was swift. After moving to Milan and joining CUS Pro Patria Milan under coach Walter Monti, her training intensified, and so did her results. She began smashing national youth records across the board: 60 meters, 80 meters, 100 meters, 150 meters, and even the 4x100m relay. By February 2024, at just 14, Kelly ran 7.27 seconds in the indoor 60 meters, beating Vincenza Colli's 2-year-old U20 record. A month later, she clocked 7.23 inches Ancona. Then came the real shocker: 7.19 seconds at the Italian Indoor Championships, the fastest European U18 time ever recorded. That run placed her fourth all-time among Italian women. And that was just the beginning. A muscle injury cut Kelly's indoor season short in early 2025. Most athletes would have slowed down, not Kelly. She came back with a vengeance outdoors, blazing through the 100 meters in 11.37 and 11.36 seconds in June 2025, both new Italian U18 and U20 records. Just weeks later, on July 15 inches Brescia, she ran 11.29. But the real fireworks came at the 2025 European Youth Olympic Festival in Skopje. There, Kelly exploded out of the blocks and stunned the continent with an 11.21-second finish in the 100 meters final. Not only did she win gold, she broke the European U18 record. That time made her the third fastest Italian woman ever, trailing only legends Zeynep Dosso and Manuela Leverato. If you thought a 15-year-old couldn't take on the best under 2-0 athletes in Europe, think again. Just 18 days after her historic run in Skopje, Kelly lined up at the European U20 Championships in Tampere, Finland. Facing girls up to 5 years older, Kelly didn't blink. She cruised through the semifinals and then destroyed the final with a blistering 11.22-second run. In one race, she became the youngest ever European U2100 meters champion. And just to flex her dominance, she anchored Italy's 4x100m relay team to another gold medal. Kelly now holds every major national youth record worth mentioning. She owns the European U18 bests in both the 60 meters, 7.19 seconds, and 100 meters, 11.21 seconds, and simultaneously holds the Italian U18 and U20 records in these events. Beyond that, her long jump mark of 6.42 meters ranks among the best ever by an Italian teenager. Her gold medal haul is just as impressive, with top finishes at the 2025 Italian Junior Championships, 60 meters and 100 meters, the European Youth Olympic Festival, 100 meters and mixed relay, and the European U20 Championships, 100 meters and 4x100 m relay.